Hey small steppers, Sid here. Welcome back, or welcome if you're here for the first time. These videos highlight different aspects of my very unique approach to health, happiness, habit change, behavior. Here is one of the questions I get a lot, and I wanted to talk about it here. How do I stop beating myself up? Apparently, there are people in the world, I've never met them, that hear mind chatter, critical voices in their heads that say negative things. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I don't know who they are. I've never met them except for it's every person, including me and everybody in the world. So the question is, how do you stop? How do you stop that? How do you stop these things in our heads, things that we've grown up with, potentially messaging we got when we were kids from our parents or teachers, and it sinks in our brains, and we are now adults, and we hear these messages, and guess what? They're in our voice. So we hear it and it sounds like us. It's not really us. More on that in subsequent videos, but it sounds like us. So how do we stop it? How do we stop it? And here's the short answer. We don't. Doesn't that suck? Did you just unsubscribe? You just unsubscribe? Here's the long answer. You don't try to stop that messaging. It is there. It's been there for years. And here's how you improve in spite of that messaging. Here's how you change your life and leave that as it is. Ready? You act. You decide and choose who you are. You define very clearly what your values are and your standards. Remember last week's video? But more importantly than that, once you have that knowledge, you get busy, you start acting. That's where my small steps comes in, because you can start acting immediately on day one because you're setting a step that's so small you can do one push-up. If you hear in your voice, you're lazy, you never exercise, you should exercise, why don't you exercise? You're fat, you're ugly, you're lazy, you can't get off the couch. Meanwhile, you're doing a push-up and you're doing it every day now because it's small and you're able to do it and you're acting. And guess what happens over time? Aside from that step growing from one push-up to 2 and 2 to 5 and maybe 5 to a 2-minute walk around your living room and then a 2-minute walk to a 5-minute walk outside, so on and so forth. But every action is an accomplishment. Every action gets you closer to living life on your terms. And every action is a little voice in your head that says, look what I did today. Every action you take that is in line with who you are is a message that you are doing it. You are taking care of yourself. And what happens over time is the negative messaging, the mind chatter that sort of appears, kind of gets shoved to the side and also quieted. Everything gets a little less prominent because every time you start to hear that, you go, yeah, but look what I did today. You're ugly, you're fat, you don't have no self-discipline. Oh, really? If I have no self-discipline, then how did I do push-ups today? How did I go on a 2-minute walk around my living room? How did I journal for 3 minutes? How did I eat a big salad for dinner tonight if I'm these things that I've heard for 50 years? That's how you do it. You don't focus on what you don't want to hear. You focus on what you do want to hear. And you do that by acting in your life. And again, I'll say it again, I'll wrap this up. The way that to me, my approach, the way that you can be effective at this is not to go full bore and overwhelm yourself and fail by taking on too much. Then you got to hear more messaging of you failed. But by starting in a way that adds just enough stress to keep you going. Again, more on stress in subsequent videos. But for now, taking it easy, but beginning the process immediately. If you know who you are and you know what you stand for, act right away. And you're going to see this little voice and you're going to hear this little voice get a little quieter and sort of move over to the side. It's just going to have less space to exist.